So what is polyrhythm versus polymeter? Well, before I answer that question, take a look at this post that kind of blew up for me on social media. So that begs the question, is what I did right there polyrhythm or polymeter? So that post right there is what I would call a polymeter exercise. Why is it polymeter and not polyrhythm? Well, because first off, the rhythms that I'm playing in both hands are identical. In both hands, I'm basing everything off eighth note triplets. The thing that's being manipulated are the accents. Now, if this was a polyrhythmic exercise, what I'd have to do is get rid of all of those notes in between each of the accents and just play the accents themselves as a rhythm. But you might be able to see that the way to really understand how to find polyrhythms is first by understanding the polymeter. Ergo, what we have to practice is all the subdivisions, all the groupings of notes inside any particular rhythm. So that last video was over triplets. Let's take a look at the same exact exercise, but doing it over 16 notes. So you see in that video, I took the 16th note as our basic rhythm. I kept 4 going in the left hand, and then I started moving through all the different groupings in the opposite hand, and then I switched. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing with a 5-lit or a quintuplet. So this video, keep the quintuplet going in one hand, while it goes through all the other accent groupings in quintuplets with the opposite hand, and then it'll switch. So then I had a commenter ask me, does the constant have to be even, or could the constant also be a polymeter? You can see how confusing this gets. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and try to keep the constant as a dotted eighth rhythm. So I'm going to be accenting every 3 16th notes and keep that as the constant against all of the other accent groupings. So you could call it a polymeter against all the other polymeters. Okay, so what's the formula for this? How do I figure all this stuff out? Well, of course, there's a pattern to it. I'm not just able to separate my brain and say I'm going to do 5 here and 3 here and they play independently. That's not how it works. Every single polymeter has an accent pattern associated with it. Your job as a drummer is to study each of those patterns. And depending on the rhythm you're using, those patterns are going to change, but they're going to be unique for each individual number or grouping. Now, in terms of polymeter or polyrhythms, the way you write this out is usually one number colon another number. The first number is going to represent the rhythm, what kind of note we're talking about. So if the first number is a 3, the question you have to ask yourself is what kind of rhythm, what kind of notes fit evenly 3 per beat? And that answer, of course, would be 8th note triplets. If the number is a 4, again, the question you have to ask yourself is what kind of rhythm or note is 4 even notes per beat? Well, the answer to that would be 16th notes. What if the first number is a 5? Well, again, then we'd be talking about quintuplets, because 5 even notes per beat is a 5-lit or a quintuplet. The second number represents the accent grouping. It'll tell you how many notes to count before your next accent. So if we look at something like 4:3, the first number 4 will tell us that we're talking about the 16th note rhythm. The second number 3 will say we're accenting every 3 16th notes. If the polyrhythm is 5:7, the first number tells us we're talking about the 5-lit rhythm and we're accenting every 7 5-lits. And that's pretty much how it works. Now, the main difference between polyrhythm and polymeter is how you're actually going to execute this. If you do it like I did it, where you fill in all the rhythms and then accent, it's polymeter. Now we say meter because since the note values that I'm performing here are the same, the accents or the melodies are felt as different time signatures or different meters, even though they're both being performed over the same time signature. If you don't fill in the accents and you just play the accents as the rhythm by themselves, it's polyrhythm. So in this example, I'm literally playing 2 different rhythms or notes. I'm playing quarter notes with one hand and dotted 8th notes with the other hand. When you play them simultaneously, it's a polyrhythm. Now there's somewhat of a misconception when it comes to polyrhythms that they have to be 2 types of rhythms that don't divide evenly into each other. Like in this case, 4 and 3, quarter notes and dotted 8th notes. If you divide them, the only number they have in common is 1, so they don't divide evenly. But any true polyrhythm is just 2 notes played simultaneously, even or not. So if you play a regular quarter note against 8th notes, that's still a polyrhythm. Even though it's 4 against 2, it's still a polyrhythm even though it's even. Remember, all a polyrhythm is multiple rhythms happening consistently at the same time. See that? And now you know. And if you want to see more videos like this every day, make sure to follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. And above all else, when you're learning the drums, remember to always, always practice with purpose.